Okay, so really excited, really happy because today we're going to have a fantastic conversation that goes beyond what we've had before. So we're going to be talking to Tim van der Vliet, who has been with us before, but now we're going to have an added touch to it. We're going to go deeper and more profound into the conversation about the parasympathetic and sympathetic systems, but we're also going to go much, much deeper into how this can improve your way of leading. So here we go, and let's just get it. We're adding him right now. And he's connecting. Hi, Tim.
Yes. Cool.
We
Hey,
did
man.
it.
We did
How's
it.
it going?
Yeah. Good. I'm always getting nervous with Facebook Live because you never know what's going to happen. But this time it's good. Let me just put the
Well,
light on it.
just for yeah. So for everybody to know, we've had a bit of an issue yesterday on Facebook. It was not just us. Facebook was down completely. So it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
But we did have everything scheduled for yesterday. We did our best. Obviously, the I don't know if it was a denial of service attack that they had. I have no idea, but Facebook just didn't work for us. But we're so happy to be here now. So,
Yeah.
Tim,
Hey,
today is
man.
going to be an awesome conversation, man. Looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Me too. Me too. I really love this
So,
part.
tell me. Yeah, this is when we're really going to get into the nitty gritty of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's always, one of Wim's favorite expressions is feeling is believing. And I completely agree with that. But there is this rational part too that it is really not very difficult, but it's very interesting to understand. And if you understand what's happening more, you can feel better actually, or this is my view on the whole thing. So yeah, I love this part, the science and the physiology of the Wim Hof method and breathing in general.
We need to really get into that deeply because
Yes.
after that, we're going to be discussing how this can actually make you a better leader.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very. I have my ideas about that, but I'm very curious also what you have to say about that.
Well, let's explore this, shall we?
Yeah,
Okay, so my hair's a bit different today,
yeah,
different
it looks
treatment.
good. Went to the hairdresser.
Thanks, man, but I actually do love my curls. So, okay, I do really like the way that you have them, though, because that's kind of like what happens when my hair gets longer.
Yeah, it's
So, yeah.
this is just it's always every day you look in the mirror. It's like okay, for I'm 49 now, and for 49 years I've been looking in the mirror and it's like really again different. So it's like almost 20,000 times.
So,
So
Rita's saying hi. Hi,
Hi,
Rita.
hi, Rita. Yeah, Rita was in my training last weekend. Was it, Rita? Yes, on Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
thanks for being here, Rita. Really nice I don't see you, but I hear it. So thanks. Leave a comment, and then we can actually talk like indirectly.
Yes, yes, we could definitely do that. I'll read the comments out because I'm the only one who actually has the comments down here.
Yeah,
So, Rita, please talk to us. Love to hear from you.
yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean, but for me, it's if my hair is like this, I always get this little, I call it the Superman curl.
yeah.
It always looks like Superman. Okay, so let's get started.
All right. Shall I like give a little intro first on how like let's do the short version, and then you can react to that. Then we go a little bit deeper, and then we go another level deeper, if possible. And I hope there will be some doctors or somebody who's like highly critical, because I think we should be critical in stuff like this, like, because some people put the Wim Hof method away, like if you have a problem in life, just do it. And that is a bit simplistic. So you want to understand what's happening. You want to stay critical, but you also want to try new stuff. And if it can't harm, it's good anyway. But the Wim Hof method is a really interesting method when it comes to science and physiology. So
And that's what makes a big difference there too.
yes, it does. So first about breathing. Now let me give you like a 3-minute summary. Let's do the summary ahead, like an abstract in a paper. Yeah.
Okay.
So within our body, we have like a conscious part and an unconscious part. The conscious part is, I cannot read that comment. I need my glasses. And
I'll tell you the comments right now. So Rita
no,
says
that's
that
okay. No, we do that later. Let me finish just first these 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Oh, but
yeah.
it was just an example, I miss my mother, so I'm gonna call her conscious.
Okay.
Right? And we have an unconscious part, and especially that unconscious part is officially, or up to 5 years ago, there was absolutely no proof that we could voluntarily influence the autonomic part of our nerve system, that unconscious part. Yeah. So what belongs there? It is like your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your temperature control. Your hormonal release, your stress response, your opening and widening of your vessels, cardiovascular, lymphatic system. Like, it's impossible to influence that, or you need drugs, basically, pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
Now, the breath is, of course, also autonomic, right? You don't have to think about breathing. You don't die when you sleep. So it's fully autonomic. But
yes.
And this is, and it's just 2 minutes, but this is where the magic happens. So if you've seen this, you can hang up and stop watching.
Don't.
Joke. So the breath is autonomic, it's unconscious, but in 3 ways we can change our breathing consciously, right? Which is breathing faster or deeper, like get more air in, basically. Breathing slower, like meditation. Slow down your breathing and listen to my voice. And the third is to hold your breath. Now, these extremely simple tools through these 3 extremely simple tools, you have a direct effect on your autonomic nerve system and on the unconscious part of your body. Yeah, that makes you silent, doesn't it?
It does, because it's so simple.
It's so simple. And we're going to get, we're going to get further on the whole nerve systems and the different kinds and stuff like that.
I know we have some images, so whenever you want me to share them, I will do that.
Yeah, well, you can share the image of the central and the peripheral, and then peripheral, somatic, autonomic, sympathetic, parasympathetic.
Okay,
that one.
So I will get those right now for everybody. Okay. And
So through 3 things, breathing, techniques, basics, like axiomas in mathematics, 3 breathing basics, breathing faster, breathing slower, and holding your breath. You have an influence on your autonomic nerve system, on your inner world, basically. And if you look at all the breathing techniques, because within the whole breathing school spectrum, you have like on one side, left side, right side, whatever you're seeing, it's Buteyko. Yeah, Buteyko is basically saying you need to breathe as slow and as silent, nose in, nose out. And you have the other side of the spectrum, which is like rebirthing, holotropic, and transformational breathing, which is more or less breathing in as fast as possible and out through the mouth, like total opposites.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
And the Wim Hof method and pranayama is somewhere in the middle. And pranayama and Wim Hof method is also totally different, but that's in the middle. But all the breathing techniques are either one of the 3 or a mix of 2 of the 3. Yeah, so
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so where transformational breath is breathing faster, get more air in, and Buteyko is like breathe as slow as you can. Now, we have tested that before, so I don't want to be like boring, but if you would measure your breathing frequency now, yeah, and it will be like, for example, 6 times a minute, and you do something like a breathing technique like the Wim Hof method, and the Wim Hof method consists of breathing faster and deeper and holding your breath. But in the end, the third is the result. You are breathing slower after 5, 10, half an hour, 1 hour of Wim Hof breathing.
So basically it's a trilogy. That's like a trinity, a triangle, where everything affects the other, right? So by
Yes.
using the Wim Hof method, basically we breathe faster, we breathe heavier, we essentially have a controlled hyperventilation.
Yeah. We, in the breathing world, you call it disproportional breathing or over breathing, because
Okay.
it's very good you mentioned this, because I want to get this out of the way. Yes, it looks like hyperventilation, but what happens if you hyperventilate? And I've done it myself. When I was 11, my father died, and a year after I was like, like, what happens when you're yeah, no, it's okay, it's a long time ago, but thanks. I feel your love. What happens when you're hyperventilating? You're breathing high in the chest and fast, and you're breathing mouth in and mouth out. And the most important, you're not in control. You are like panicking, basically. You have a stress response. Well, in a way, you could call it like, well, over breathing or hyperventilating, but it's controlled. And this is why, especially if people start with breathing, as a Wim Hof instructor, you start first with nose in and mouth out. And if you can, as much to the belly and then to the chest. And so to get away from that hyperventilation. And the big difference is there's no, there is control when you're doing a Wim Hof breathing, but also with transformation, there's control. So that is the difference between hyperventilating and over breathing. And I've met a few people already, so this is not like true science. It's not like a real scientific test, but testimonials is like an indication. People that have been hyperventilating, doing the Wim Hof method, and are not suffering from hyperventilation anymore. So there's a difference. Yeah.
And here we have we also have Rita again asking a question. How about shallow breathing?
Yeah, shallow breathing is it's not very healthy.
Now, how's that? Well, can you explain it? I mean, you and I, we know this, but I really think that everybody should know why shallow breathing is not healthy.
Yeah, so we're a bit in a nerdy talk now, right? So I'm going to talk about graphs and numbers and stuff like that. So if you would see it in a graph, if you're breathing shallow, you're breathing to the chest. If you're breathing through the chest, you probably get like 30% of the air in of your full lung capacity. Or nose or mouth. I'm just breathing through the mouth so you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So that's shallow breathing. So if you would put that in a graph, it would be like beep, 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 highly stressful, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you would say a meditator, a Tibetan Lama that has like 30,000 hours of meditation behind him, if in his meditation, if you would see his breathing would be like this. If you look at Wim Hof breathing, it will be, because we're really like, like that, it will be like this. Yeah. If you are going into a very deep meditation, and this is also what I feel when I'm falling asleep, my breathing is more becoming like, so this is Wim Hof breathing, so this is like 10 seconds, for example. But if I'm falling asleep, I'm more breathing like this. Like really shallow, not shallow, but a little in, little out, and you're breathing faster. And this is what some meditators have shown too, or like experiences and testimonials about that the feeling that they weren't breathing anymore. Well, it's just that you're breathing in so little and you're breathing out so little that it looks like you're not breathing. So back to shallow breathing. If you're breathing like that, you're breathing a lot, but you're not getting air in, and you are like overly into your fight or flight response because of that. Because you breathe like that normally if you would have a panic attack, like I'm going into an ice bath for the first time in my life. I'm totally unprepared. I go in, I go like that,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a panicking attack. So through your breath, you're talking with your body. So if you're highly stressed and you're only breathing shallow and high, you're basically telling your body that you're under stress, like you're jogging all the time. And
So
yes,
just
yeah,
a quick interrupt here. So does this shallow breathing actually activate your adrenal glands?
yeah, I would say it does. Yeah,
So
you have
if you
like,
shallow breathe, you can actually have adrenal fatigue from it.
well, you. So I think that what is happening if you're breathing faster, you're going more into your sympathetic. And for the people that are watching and don't get this yet, it will be all clear. Into your sympathetic or fight or flight state, basically. So
Response. Yeah.
there's fight or flight and rest and digest, meditative. If you're continuously in your fight or flight, you're making too much adrenaline. You always have this high level of adrenaline. Then you get a high level of cortisol. And once you wake up, this is a clear sign. You know, if you wake up in the middle of the night with pain in your kidneys and you can't sleep anymore, you are in the pre-burnout phase. You know, it's really time to take action. You're not yet burning out, but if that, I don't know how long, and I'm not a doctor, you know, like big disclaimer, I'm very interested in the physiology and the science. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not claiming I know everything. I'm just claiming I find it fucking interesting, you know, that's all I want to say.
Just a real quick pause here. We have someone who's actually posing a really interesting question. Her name is Heidi Boer. She's
Heidi Boer.
Dutch.
Heidi Boer.
Yes.
Oh, Heidi Boer. Hello, Heidi.
Yes. And she actually she lives close to Alicante. Anyways, what would you suggest if this is for later? But I know that we need to be reading some of these real quick. What would you suggest if you were a nervous wreck before going on stage? And what exercises? What kind of exercise do you do? Now we both go on stage a lot, so this is something that we are going to talk about after this.
Yeah, it's
Just
a
gotta let you know,
leadership
I'm
part.
sorry about the interruption, but I just really wanted to get that out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go on, continue.
Cool. Yeah, so let's talk about the physiology of breathing then, right? Was it enough of an answer for the shallow breathing?
Rita, was that enough of an answer for you? I think it was very clear.
Yeah, but
I think it was very, very, very clear.
We will probably get back to it, you know. So let's start with the basics. Within our body, we have a nerve system, right? And there's the central brain and the spine, the spinal cord, I think you call it. And there's the peripheral nerve system. Now let's leave the brain. Let's leave the brain aside for a moment and the spinal cord, and let's talk about the peripheral nerve system. So basically, all the nerves that go to all your muscles and all the cells and your wherever in your body, the rest of your body, basically.
Okay.
If you would look at the peripheral nerve system, and there's a subdivision you can make, which is the somatic and the autonomic nerve system. And I kind of touched on that already a few minutes ago. The somatic nerve system is conscious. Yeah, I'm missing my mother. I'm picking up my phone to call her, Mama, I miss you. That's somatic.
Yeah.
I feel thirsty. I'm going to whatever, you know, like basically our life is somatic, you could say. And then you could define the autonomic nerve system like inner world, what happens in your body. Yeah, so the autonomic nerves, and I mentioned already, but just a little recap, like opening and widening of your vessels, your heart rate, your hormonal release, and things like that. And the breath is, of course, is also autonomic. Yeah. If you look at the autonomic nerve system, yeah, so we're still peripheral nerve system, brain peripheral,
Yep.
brain go, peripheral, somatic, autonomic, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Now, the sympathetic can be defined as fight or flight.
Yeah.
The parasympathetic as rest and digest. Or like I like to call it like switched on, switched off. You know, action mode, modus, and like meditative, you could say.
Yeah.
What
That's
is
rest
very
or
yeah. what is a very good analogy is we used to be cavemen, right? Now there's inside the cave and outside the cave, and it makes it very clear. So outside the cave, we had to hunt, we had to, be sharp. It's dangerous. Um, um, you're more in your fight or flight. You're on, like so. Um, the exact specifics we will get to in a bit, like really, what's happening in your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. But basically, if you're switched on, if you're outside the cave and you might have to whatever fight a tiger or whatever, you can see better. Your brain functions better. You have a better memory. Your heartbeat goes up because there's more blood pumped through your body, because maybe you have to either fight or flight. Yeah? So your body's preparing to actually get like, full on. Yeah, and there's the whole list. I will mention in a bit. So you're switched on. Oh yeah, and like your inner world, your digestive system, for example, is slowed down, but also your immune response. And I'm talking a bit like generalist, but for example, if you have a little fever and you go into your fight or flight, the fever goes down because there's no time for that stuff now. I have to survive. So the inflammatory process is suppressed when you're in your fight or flight. Now, on average, we are living too much in our fight or flight. Shallow breathing, always on, unconsciously telling your body that you're always jogging. You get stressed out, you get too much adrenaline and whatever, too much cortisol. You get a burnout.
We're in the sympathetic system.
Exactly, but the sympathetic system is not a bad thing. Because the other side, the parasympathetic part, is like inside the cave. Inside the cave, you can relax. It's like your after dinner dip. You relax and you don't have to see that sharp. Like your digestive system is fully active. Your brain is slowing down. You're in your calm state. Now the perfect balance is 50-50. And since we in the West are often stressed out because we find ourselves so important and we're living too much in that fight or flight, we kind of learned that the fight or flight is bad, but it is not bad. It should be in balance. And if you don't have enough of that fight or flight, it's like the average procrastinator, that wants to do a lot, but nothing comes out of his or her hands. So then you don't have enough fight or flight. And the cool thing is, to connect this with breathing, by breathing, you can either engage the fight or flight or your parasympathetic nerve system. So the three tools.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the three tools: breathing faster. By breathing faster, you're putting more oxygen in your bloodstream. And basically your body, and like which order it is exactly, I really don't know, but your body is like, hey, I have enough oxygen. So my vessels are contracting, my heartbeat is going up, and my blood is flowing more. I'm getting warmer, things like that. And then also, indeed, as you just said, in the fight or flight, adrenaline is produced.
Yes.
But adrenaline is actually nothing bad, and through the adrenaline, your liver starts to, how do you say, release glucose or glucogen. I'm actually not sure.
It's glucogenesis.
Yeah.
It starts creating glucose from the point of fat.
Yeah, because your cells need more energy, basically, because, they have to be on.
Yes.
Right. Do you have anything to add?
So this is interesting, because, so basically, all right, yes, we are living in a state of constant parasympathetic, in a constant parasympathetic state. In a constant sympathetic state. Yeah, sorry. And I think maybe we are actually exhausting it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I mean, everything needs to have its yin and yang, and everything needs to have a balance, right? I can understand how adrenaline is really good when you need it and really bad when you don't need it.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I can understand how this imbalance of of being too much in the sympathetic system can create things like insomnia
Yes.
or chronic fatigue syndrome.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, I have a question about narcolepsy, though. Because
Narcolepsy.
narcolepsy is an interesting one. I'm curious to know whether this is an exhaustion of your sympathetic system
Hmm.
or dysfunction of your parasympathetic system.
I don't know what I want to Google it. What is how do you call
Narcolepsy is
it?
when you fall asleep. It's when you uncontrollably fall asleep. Let's say you and I are talking here, and then we
Oh,
just get really tired, and all of a sudden you fall asleep.
yeah. Okay. I don't
It
know
also
actually.
happens when you, for example, when you eat a lot, and all of a sudden you go from sympathetic to parasympathetic really quick, and you
Hmm.
get this narcolepsy, and you're like, okay, I just want to sleep.
Well,
You
simply
know?
said, it is out of balance then,
Yeah.
right? But the cool thing is that through breathing, you can either choose to go into your parasympathetic or sympathetic nerve system. So simply said, breathing faster brings you more into your fight or flight. Adrenaline is produced, and maybe you can share the second graph in the because I would
Absolutely.
like to go a little bit deeper on that sympathetic parasympathetic.
Okay, and here goes. There we have it.
Yeah.
Now, just a disclaimer: these are images from the image searches that Tim did on Google. So they're there. They're all on Google. You know, they're there for
Yeah.
you to watch it. We did not create them, just
No.
so that you know.
And
Okay.
I think it said in the Bible, "Search and thou shall find." I changed that
That's
many years ago to "I'm not searching anymore. I'm finding only. Find and thou shall find." But I changed it anyway now. It's Google and thou shall find. Right?
yes, that's it.
We have the
YouTube, and you shall learn.
collective YouTube, and you shall learn. We have the
Yeah,
collective consciousness in our back pocket. It's amazing. Okay,
yeah.
so let's go a little bit deeper on the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nerve system. So I'm hoping that if you see this, you opened, it's the second image that you dropped, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Okay, so you see parasympathetic on the left side and sympathetic on the right side. You already see the green and red, like sympathetic is bad and parasympathetic is not. It's not bad. You need both. Yeah, so just a quick, I scroll down to what is actually happening. So if you're in your parasympathetic, your pupil, your eyes, they constrict. So you cannot, you see less good. And if it's diluted, you see better.
Dilated. Yeah.
Dilated, thank you. Then if you're in your parasympathetic, and this is a really cool one, you get like a more saliva production. And you notice, like, if you're like surprised very much, and somebody's like whatever surprising you, or you're very scared, what do you get? A dry mouth, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's the
Yes.
other side. So that's a sign. If you suddenly feel, sometimes people are breathing in my
Ah.
training, and they say like, I have so much saliva production, like that's a good sign. You're dropping in your parasympathetic, and that's probably what you need. But you get a dry mouth if you're in your sympathetic, in your fight or flight, if you're outside the cave.
You see, you can see things going in my head, right?
I see it,
This
yeah.
is this is me going to past experiences when I have, and I'm okay. So you know this. I'm all about emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
when I have an extreme emotional response to something, the
Mm,
first thing that happens, dry mouth.
yeah. So you're like, you're
Yeah,
basically stressing out, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
the one thing I know that when I have a dry mouth, the first thing I need to do, and this is just natural for me. This is before Wim Hof method, before I spoke to you, is I just really slow down my breathing and I do this in my heart.
It's
and I just
Beautiful.
really slow it down. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just how biology actually knows what you need to do.
Yeah.
Subconsciously we are there, man.
Yeah,
That's
we
awesome.
like it's just we're trying to understand what we're subconsciously doing. But then, like sometimes in our life, we're not connected to our feeling and we don't know what to do. And it's nice to get back to something, well, like we're talking about now, right?
Yeah, it makes it very real, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. It
So,
does.
if you look a little bit further, so in your parasympathetic, your bronchi are constricted and your heartbeat slows down and your stomach is stimulated and your digestive system is more stimulated, which is, of course, if you're inside the cave, like you don't need to breathe to get so much air in because you're not moving, you're not switched on, so your heartbeat can slow down too. And like your digestive system can work optimally when you are not running around, basically. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
makes sense.
obvious. It makes sense. And then if you look at the right side, the sympathetic, it dilates bronch, it says. Well,
The
bronchi,
basically the
yeah,
fibers in
the,
your lungs.
the whole thing. Your heartbeat is going up. Endorphin, not endorphin, adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Oh God, uh,
Norepinephrine, yes.
and different things. It's like very
Norepinephrine.
Dutch, yeah,
It's
very Dutch
yeah.
sometimes. Through that, glucose is released, so you get literally more energy in your bloodstream because your cells need more blood, more energy, and your digestive system is inhibited. It slows down, and it says something about urine too. Like a question to you: what happens if somebody's like really, like what happens if somebody is like about to die? Like, or there's a lion standing in front of them. What happens with your urine?
Well, the first thing that'll happen is your adrenal response kicks in, and therefore your sphincters, all of them in your entire body, relax. So you can
Ah,
poo yourself and you can pee yourself.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is happening in an extreme fight or flight situation.
Yes.
And then the last part is really interesting because uh, when you think of sex, we guys, we know that a woman needs to feel good before she can have sex, right? She has to
Yes.
calm down. Well, the same goes for us because if we're too much stressed out, like not a lot happening over there. So to get aroused, like to get horny, basically, you
Yeah.
are in your parasympathetic nerve system. You have to relax before you can actually get excited, simply said.
So I have a okay. I oversimplified that in my head, but basically I thought, okay, well, if you're in your sympathetic, um, there's there's too much blood going to your extremities, and there's not enough blood
Well, yeah,
to make that work.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. But
Yeah.
then, if you talk about actually orgasms, what
Hmm.
happens when orgasm? Your heartbeat speeds up to what 200 beats per second, or what is it, per minute, and
Yeah. That'd be quick.
so the actual ejaculation, the orgasm, is sympathetic, is fight or flight. So it's a mix of the two.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? Um, yeah. Yeah, that's
You,
quite interesting.
yeah.
That is quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
It opens up the mind a little.
yeah. So how does breathing work? And I think maybe we're going to talk about the cold training a little bit later, but I would like to focus on breathing. So if you breathe faster, you're activating your sympathetic nerve system. If
Yep.
you breathe slower, you're activating your parasympathetic. And activating your parasympathetic means calming down, just to be clear, right? Holding your breath could mean two things. Um, like if you hold your breath on your breath in, first it's sympathetic, but then while you're holding your breath longer, it becomes parasympathetic because you're
Parasympathetic.
calming down. But when you really press it and you're like, and holding your breath, it becomes sympathetic again. Your heartbeat is racing. Like racing, like racing, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, it just pumps really hard. So let me see. Let's say I'm breathing, and I'm breathing slowly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that, like, I have a few breathing techniques of my own, but I find that if I breathe very, 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 very slowly, I can get to a point where it's natural to stop and then natural to release slowly, slowly, slowly. But if I pull it in more and more and more, and I try to really expand, not only from the bottom, but from the sides and from the top, I find that my heart accelerates.
Exactly.
It starts pumping, boom, boom, boom. And
Exactly.
then when I can't anymore, but then what happens is my breath goes until it relaxes and goes back down. So basically, I'm going from parasympathetic to sympathetic, and my body's in stress at that point.
Yeah.
And then once I stop doing that shaky breath, I'm back in parasympathetic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, what you mentioned is exactly what I want to say. So thank you. It's good flow.
Okay.
Breathing in and breathing out. Which, if you look at breathing in and breathing out, which one is sympathetic and parasympathetic?
I would say that breathing in is sympathetic and breathing out is parasympathetic, because breathing in brings oxygen, and breathing out exhales carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide takes away acidity and alkalizes.
Well, exactly. But it's this fine-tuned within our body. So every time you breathe in, your heartbeat goes up. And every time you
Yeah.
breathe out, your heartbeat goes down. So every time you breathe in, you go more into your sympathetic, just a little bit. And every time you breathe out, you go more into your parasympathetic. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. So why do I say that? Because, the whole point is stress relief. Yeah. And if you are really stressed, you don't know that you are. If you truly get in your sympathetic nerve system, and we all have had these moments in our life where I've had a few that you're close to death, and you get tunnel vision if you're really panicking. You don't know what's happening. So that's one of the things of Hollywood movies that's actually right, is if somebody panics, then the hero goes like, breathe out. And so how do you go from total stress to total calmness? Where do you start? The breath out. It all starts with the exhale, because the exhale activates the parasympathetic. Yeah, so when I guide somebody in an ice bath and the reaction is that, it starts with the breath out. So somebody is like really panicking, then I leave it like a few counts, and then I go like, okay, and extend your breath out, and now, and longer, and longer. And after 4 or 5 times extending that breath out, you're ready to extend your breath in. And then it's just making a deal with yourself. Every time I breathe a bit slower than the last time. On average, from really panicky to total calmness is like 1 minute. Or people give up before that, but it doesn't happen a lot. It's really like 1 out of 40 or something. So most people that go in and have this stress response, they are able, and also because you've just had the training, and I'm like this much from your ear, and you're listening to my voice, but by extending the exhale, this is where the relaxation starts. And then when you can extend your inhale and really slow it down, this is where you go from total panic to total relaxation.
Relaxation.
It's the, what is surrendering? Like spiritual teachers are talking very easily about, well, just let go and just surrender. But how the hell do I do that if I'm totally stressed? And it kind of irritates me, because it's often not taught from experience, but from, I understand and I read this somewhere. Exactly. Yeah, well, if you talk about breathing, you can truly experience it, and focusing on the exhale, and this is actually what is happening in meditation too. You breathe in like 4 counts, and you breathe out for 8 counts. that calms you down. Your parasympathetic is activated. This is why meditating is so good for us, Western people that are stressed out too much.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Mhm.
When I find it difficult to fall asleep, I do a little trick.
Yeah.
I put my tongue on my soft palate,
Yeah.
and I breathe in quite quickly, as deep as I can, for 4 seconds. I just go, and then I hold it with my tongue up there, and I hold it for 7 seconds, and then I exhale for 8 seconds.
Yeah, I know that
Yeah,
breathing. It's from Max, I think, but it doesn't matter. Yeah.
and I never get to 10. I try to count it. I never get to 10. I always fall asleep.
Yeah. So this is a form of the breathing techniques are so interesting. It goes way beyond the Wim Hof method, but this is a form of box breathing. Yeah, like the most simple box breathing is 4 in, hold for 4, 4 out, hold for 4, 4 in,
Yeah.
and so on. And what you're saying is 4 in, hold for 7, and out for 8. Yeah, so it clearly triggers your parasympathetic nerve system. You just, maybe you had a few coffee too much, or just in your head, or whatever, you can't sleep. And sometimes it can be because of happiness too. I mean, like if you're in love, you need 1 hour of sleep, and you're totally fine. Yeah, I love that. I love to be in love.
You see, honey, that's why I know my wife's listening out there somewhere. And if she's not listening to us there, she's listening to us in the other room. That's why I don't sleep so much, honey, because I'm in love.
So yeah, and then what happens? It's a different story. But what happens if you put your tongue against your soft palate? I have the tendency to do that naturally. It's just there all the time. But supposedly, according to what I understand from Tibetan Buddhism, is that if you put your tongue on your palate, certain energy channels are connected and open, so energy can flow better. But I don't really know the specifics of this, and it's not really in the science and the physiology of breathing or of the Wim Hof method.
Okay. Well, maybe we should get one of these days a neuroscientist to explain that specific part with us. If we can do that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
Because it's just nice to get into it,
Yeah.
I know that for some people, this conversation might be a little bit complex at times, but bear with us because we really are trying to get into the nitty gritty of it. We really want to explain things as fully and as best as we can responsibly explain it, right?
Yeah, and I'm actually also in it for myself because I've noticed that not everybody agrees about this. So I'm very aware that the more I learn about this, the more there is to understand. So the less I know, So I'm also in it for me because I want to know more about this, and I'm very interested in this. So I'm very happy just to have this conversation, your question, and like people that ask questions, because I want to know more about it.
It's just an interesting thing, because I mean, when we're talking about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems, all of a sudden things start to trigger in my mind because, of course, I'm not an expert at breathing as such, especially not the advanced techniques that you have.
Mhm.
But my God, do I know that breathing makes a difference to emotions? And it makes a difference to another thing. See, I believe that people were made out of basically what people see from us, the real part they see from us is composed of four things: our morality, our personality, our character, and our attitude.
Mhm.
And personality, I know there's nothing we can do about it, There's nothing we can do about it. Personality doesn't change. I can cite real examples of this. Academically speaking, Dr. Paul Ekman and Dr. David Matsumoto made studies that show that after your personality is developed, which is around the age of 8, it doesn't change unless you're close to death. Interestingly enough, you face when you with breathing, you can really face near death,
Uh, but you
which is
cannot die
really
from
interesting.
breathing.
You can die from stopping it.
That's just a detail.
Yeah, it's just a minor detail. And not like you said, slower is better, but zero doesn't count.
Zero is not cool.
No, it's
Zero
not cool,
breathing
man.
is definitely not cool. Yeah,
Um,
so yeah, go ahead.
but the rest of those things can really be affected by physiology and mainly by breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes,
if you
absolutely.
slow down, what happens when you slow down? You're activating more your parasympathetic, right?
Yes, exactly. Let me check. I would like to, maybe it's an interesting, I'm just gonna send you this over Facebook. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
Because
If you
this is
send me the message here, I can.
this is a film that this is where Wim got famous through this research. And like, please, if you're watching this, watch this video that I just that Peter is going to post in the comments. Watch it later. I will explain it. It was in 2011 when doctors became interested in Wim because Wim can, like he's the superhuman that can influence his autonomic nerve system. And then Wim blurted out probably something like, fuck it, anybody can do this. Give me 2 weeks and I can train people. And then the doctors, because they did tests on him and they gave him an injection with the E. coli bacteria, which basically should make you sick for 5 hours, but Wim didn't get sick. But
Yeah,
Wim is the Iceman, so the doctors were like, well, yeah, it's cool what you do, but you're an anomaly. And it's a whole different discussion that in science we pretend that anomalies are not there while we should actually research them. It's another story. But that's so then and then Wim said, well, that's bullshit because like what I can do, I can teach to anybody within 1 or 2 weeks. And then the doctors were like, oh, but that's interesting because now we can form a test. Yeah. So Wim took 18 people to Poland, give them like the basic Poland training, which is a lot of cold training and a lot of breathing. Then they went home and they entered their shower cold for 30 seconds and they did like daily breathing techniques. And then out of these 18 people, 12 people were selected, was the Wim Hof group, and there was like a control group of 12 people. Everybody got the same E. coli bacteria injected.
hmm
And this is pretty amazing and really weird that this didn't go media mainstream, but out of the 12 people, the control group, 100%, all 12 of them were like really sick. Out of the Wim Hof method breathing, the only thing they did was breathing in that hospital because they couldn't take a cold shower or an ice bath. But they did cold training like a week ago, and then you have like more white blood cells and less inflammatory protein, so it still could have a little bit of effect. But while they were getting injected that E. coli bacteria, they just did the breathing technique. And out of that 12, zero became ill. 100%
Whoa.
score in a medicine that would like get all the headlines. The pharmaceutical company that produces that medicine would like double overnight in stock price. But Wim Hof, the Iceman, and like it wasn't. It is of course it's not interesting because you give people authority, and you want to
Oh,
keep
yes.
people dependent. But I know this is like a bit of a frustration for Wim and well, frustration without the negative part because it's just like um, it's on one hand it's weird that it didn't go like completely mainstream, but now it's like 5 years later and Wim is going mainstream, so kind of happens, but it's sticky, and that is actually the good thing about science because if we like believe everything immediately and start changing our lives, that's not cool. You have to implement it slowly and see how it feels to you. And this is taking authority into your own hands. And the Wim Hof method is a great tool, but it's not for everybody. Because if you're
It's
like
not.
very pregnant, I mean, that's a bit weird. You're going to be very pregnant, like 7 months or
You're either pregnant or you're not,
you're either screwed or you're not. So, so if
Oh,
you're
yeah,
if you're
no.
if you're 7 months pregnant, the Wim Hof breathing is not a good idea. If you have epilepsy, the Wim Hof method is not a good idea. Cold training, if you're like high cardiovascular or high heart problems, or when you suffer like from extreme Raynaud, which is that you get blue or white fingers from the cold, you know, like you don't want to do cold training. Although, funny enough, many people, you know, because of cold training and the Wim Hof method, your cardiovascular system becomes more optimal because you're like training your cardiovascular system. So it's an anti-indication, but basically because at the Wim Hof method, we want to be like super safe, you know? You can pick it up if you want.
Yeah, it's just no. It's why am I
Oh,
going to pick it up? No, it's just somebody sending a message about this.
oh, okay, cool.
Um, so Kevin actually says that. No, how am I going to pick it up now? um, Kevin says that we're meant to tap into our hormones on command, and that he's even discovered a way to tap into his oxytocin. Now,
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know what oxytocin is, it's oxytocin is a peptide hormone or a neuropeptide, and it's what's associated. Usually, people associate it with love. This you
Hugging.
cannot ingest, meaning you cannot eat something that has oxytocin, but there are things that can stimulate it, like for example, the eating of chocolate. I'm curious to know what you think about this whole tapping into your hormones on command.
Definitely, like the Wim Hof method. So what happens with you know, the Wim Hof method consists of 30 times breathing fast. You go in your fight or flight. Adrenaline is produced, and then when you breathe out and hold your breath, you like drop into your parasympathetic. Now it's funny that there is a, you know, like it's still not clear what's happening because the daughter of Wim, Isabel, who is the she does the academy. She knows the most about the whole physiology and the science within the Wim Hof family, the Hof family. She was saying to me one time, "There's no dopamine released." And then I checked with my doctor friends who are a Wim Hof instructor, and after an adrenaline peak, yeah. So what happens is because you temporarily breathe faster, it peaks. It goes up to a point of like 200%, and it's the same level as somebody that goes bungee jumping for the first time, but you're completely cold. Yeah, same thing, you're under control. And then it drops again. A peak in adrenaline, so if it drops again, is followed by a dopamine release for like 95 to 99% of the people. Yeah, so you can, and according to Joe Rogan, so this is not what I get from the Academy of the Wim Hof Method, but I heard it on a film of Joe Rogan. He said, like, if you do like 20 minutes of Wim Hof breathing, you have 5.5 times more dopamine in your blood, right?
Okay.
So, yes, you know, through this breathing technique, you can release dopamine. And yes, through this breathing technique, you're training your cardiovascular system. And yes, you alkalize your body. So you have a direct effect on your hormonal release. You know,
It's
through cold training, you release endorphins. It's another happy hormone neurotransmitter. But then, you know, what is this is, you could call it a trick, a tool is better. Trick sounds cheap. A tool to release more dopamine. But I believe, Kevin, that I don't know what kind of technique he used, but according to, this is what Wim is saying, you know, and I heard it already a few times, and sometimes I'm like, what are you saying, man? I don't get it. And then, you know, like the third time, it was like, oh, now I get it. He's talking about the sixth, the seventh, and the eighth sense. Yeah, the sixth sense we know it's intuition, right? So the sixth sense is how did he say it? Is to be able to change your mindset. Yeah, and you can do this, like for example, if you release dopamine, you think less. You know, so again, through this breathing technique, you're able to change your mindset. And then
okay.
the seventh sense is to um, to via to change your body structure, so hormonal release and stuff like that. And then the eighth sense is to do this without a tool or a breathing exercise, but just by thought, by will, by whatever. So this is what Wim is saying about sixth, seventh, and eighth uh, sense.
Census.
So I wonder what Kevin is using. Is it like a mental thing? Are you just thinking something? Do you have like a physical exercise? Because also, you know, like sports is just a way to release happy hormones, and also to train your cardiovascular system, and get your lymphatic system more active. So that is exactly what is happening when you're sporting. You have a direct effect on your hormonal release. So that's not rocket science, but it's cool that you can do this by breathing only too.
So I think that there's a way that I know that you can access every single emotional response in your physiology, and that you can do it mentally. You see, back in the day when the space program was first being developed, people started using something called visual mental rehearsal.
Okay.
Yeah. So all you have to do is imagine things. So
Yeah.
what would happen is, how are you going to train a cosmonaut? Because really, the credit here, even though other people are taking it, but the credit here does belong to the Soviet space program. The way that you actually train astronauts to go into space, when you've never had anybody ever go into space and ever really experiencing the theory of zero gravity, is through mental rehearsal. So what do you think is going to happen? Yeah. The thing is this: when you're asleep, do you know you're asleep? When you're having a dream, do you know you're asleep? So when you're having a dream, you are having emotional reactions. You're having hormonal responses. Yeah. And your mind doesn't know the difference between what it is creating and what it is receiving. Yeah. I
There's no
wanted to use
difference.
perceiving, but no.
Yeah, but
There
I
isn't.
understand what you say. And this is why it's tricky to watch like very violent movies. Whatever we imagine or experience, the same hormonal releases we get inside our body. Our brain doesn't make a difference between real and unreal. That's what you're saying,
It
right?
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make that difference. So one way which you can access your hormones on command, as Kevin says, is through visual mental rehearsal. So you visualize yourself, and this will bring us to leadership as well. You visualize yourself in a situation that you could have actually lived before, or that you just imagine the situation and how it could be. You see, it's incredible because we are creatures who develop through storytelling.
Yeah.
And I love it
Me
because
too.
our whole, have you ever seen kids play?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
You've got your kids, right? It is both beautiful and terrifying. I'll tell you why. All right, so you've got couches, right? You've got a sofa here and a sofa there, and next thing you know, the kids are jumping from one sofa to the other because they don't want to touch the lava.
Hey, I don't want to
right?
touch the lava.
You don't want to touch, but this is mental rehearsal of, oh my God, if I touch the lava, so just imagine what's going in their heads. They're pretending that they don't want to touch the lava because if they touch the lava, they will die a horrible death.
Yeah.
They play cops and robbers and they're like hiding behind a column whilst they're pretend shooting at each other. These are, if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, that is terrifying, man. But they're playing with it. So when they're young, when the kids are young and their imagination is just exploding, it's a beautiful thing to see. But if you really look at what's behind it, it's absolutely terrifying. But they're just practicing it in their mind. They're practicing worst case scenario. Oh, I'm playing that I'm lost in the jungle. That's a horrible thing for a person to go through,
Yeah.
Oh, they're carrying the little baby doll. Oh, baby is sick. That's also a terrifying, horrible thing,
But
It's like, oh my God, the crashing cars, the kids are doing this. And like, two cars are crashing like that. You're going to have body parts all over the place. But it's a mental rehearsal. They're rehearsing things in their mind to prepare themselves for life. And they tell themselves the stories, and we tell ourselves, we have a narrative in our lives. We tell ourselves all these stories, which, funny enough, I do believe that if you do this properly, if you train yourself to properly go into visual mental rehearsal of things, that you're able to access directly hormonal release on command, that you're able to access emotions on command, that a good actor or actress is able to access real pain
Mm-hmm.
and to shed real tears
Mm-hmm.
on command. And here's my point. And this is because I know we're running a little bit out of time.
Already.
Yes, it just time flies so much when we talk.
Yeah.
It's this. A good leader has certain responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
A good leader, first and foremost, needs to be able to see more and see more before than the people who are following him or
Mm-hmm.
her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is called vision.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that they have is the responsibility to answer these three questions. Well, when you with a yes, yeah. So a follower will ask, "Can I trust you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you care about me? And
Yes.
can you help me?"
Yeah. Yes.
If if four parts of the leader, which I'm not talking about personality because personality cannot be trained, but if their attitude, their character, their morality, and their actions answer yes, then
Uh,
that's a good leader.
that's nice.
Useless if there's no vision.
Yeah.
But here it is.
Mm-hmm.
How do we create true, inspiring vision? Number one, breathe. Because
Uh-huh.
when you breathe, you are present.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to create a vision, you need to create it now. But you
Mm-hmm.
also need to mentally rehearse the future. You have to see before. But
Yeah.
today, you need to have the power to see more.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, truly believe that if we're able to manage our sympathetic and parasympathetic balance, and we're able to properly, and I mean properly, exercise our breathing and
Mm-hmm.
learn how to control and dominate our breathing in order
Mm-hmm.
to do this,
Mm-hmm.
we're not only going to be able to do this to our sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, we're going to be able to do great things to our mind. Because when you're present, you feel and you think real, profound thoughts,
Exactly.
quality thoughts,
Yeah.
and thoughts create your beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and your words,
Mm-hmm.
and your
And then
words and beliefs create your
create
actions,
action. Yeah, I love it.
and your action, when it is repeated, creates your habits.
Exactly.
But it also creates, or the habits will create your character and your attitude. And
Mm.
if you have that character and that attitude, you pair it up with your morality and your personality,
Mm-hmm.
you remain present by breathing,
Mm-hmm.
you can create an inspired vision that will touch the hearts and change the lives of many people. But if you
Mm.
cannot do this, you're not going to achieve this.
No, you need a
So
vision. Yeah.
you
You
need a
need
vision.
imagination, basically.
Yes, you do. And you need all those parts. And I think that breathing is a key thing to be able to put you in that funnel that we've been speaking about
Mm.
of the present.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the present, don't fall into the trap to thinking that the present is the only thing. You do need to look at the left of time to appreciate the lessons.
Yes.
And you do need to look at the right of time to see the vision.
Yes. To see the future.
But your action is now.
Yeah.
And the now is when you breathe. You're not
Mm.
breathing yesterday, and you're not breathing tomorrow.
And when because it's what you're saying is without a vision you have nothing. Without imagination, and this is the big thing we can learn from our kids. You know, we think we're adults, but we learn from them when it comes to this. But by breathing, and this is again the same two words, slow, breathe slowly. By slowing down your breathing, what happens in practice? There's this intuitive thought, you know, like it's not yours, but like you download it. And this is, you know, like I don't want to, you know, like have a dirty edge in the end of this video, but what happens if you're on the toilet? You are going in parasympathetic, right?
Yes.
Relax. Why do you think? that so many inventions are, like invented, downloaded, sitting on the toilet, because this is where you truly relax. You slow down your breathing. You're completely in the present, even if it's just for, like a little time. And it's like boom. So this intuitive or gut feeling or whatever hard thinking thought comes, just it's dropped in your brain, and this is what changes your whole life. Just that one thought, and it always happens in the present. This is
And
where the right thought. Sorry.
don't let it get flushed away when you flush that toilet.
Write it down.
That's the point. Write it down. I always have my writing companion here with me.
Yeah,
I write down every idea that I have because I know that if I don't write it down, I'll forget it.
Mm. Yeah, that's the same.
We almost have no time left. Unfortunately, our great friend Alex wasn't able to join us.
Oh,
but
mm-hmm.
too bad. But maybe next time. Now here's the thing. I'm going to do something ridiculously crazy right now.
Like it.
I'm going to do a revolutionary call. A call to revolution. And here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. I think, and I believe that right now is the moment. Right now is in this present moment. We have the power to learn about our breathing, about our sympathetic and parasympathetic system, but the changes that can create in our life are tremendous and immense. And I wish that we all would look at the world and the way it is right now and look at ourselves and the way we are to each other, to ourselves. And think of yourself as a leader. No matter who you are, no matter what position you're in life, think of yourself as a leader because you are the only leader of your life. Think of yourself as that leader. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. Number one, can I trust myself? Number two, do I care enough about myself? And number three, what was number three? Do you remember?
Can I help myself?
Can I help myself? If the answer to those three is yes, then right on, and then here's the next part. But if the answer is no, you need to work on it. Because if you cannot trust yourself, you cannot trust anybody else. If you cannot help yourself, nobody else is going to help you.
And you cannot help anybody else either.
And you cannot help anybody else. And if you do not care about yourself, nobody else is going to care about you, and you cannot care about anybody else. But if you do, here's my call, my revolutionary call. Here it is. We all have leaders in this world. This world has leaders. We have leaders in companies. We have leaders in organizations, in communities, in countries. This civilization is being led by leaders. Question the leaders in your life. Question every single one of them, including yourself, and ask three basic questions. Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? And if the answer, with their actions, their character, their attitude, and that's important, and their morality is yes, then great. If the answer to any of those questions is no with any of those four things, change the leader. Call him out. Call her out. Go out and do not take it. If this world, and just think about it, if this world was educated to ask these three questions of each one of the individuals to themselves, and then ask them to everybody else out there, to ask them to any leader out there, this world will transform. I kid you not, this world will transform. And if we learn to do it and breathe so that we can actually manage our own emotions, we have the ability, the responsibility, and the power to change the world through breathing. That's my revolutionary call, my friend.
Beautiful. Really beautiful. Yeah, I know we don't have time left. I think there's also maybe we should do another talk about leadership, because I believe as I know you're exactly thinking the same. The world is shifting, right? So the leader as we used to know it, the guy with the jacket that is like, I'm going to arrange everything, and then walks away from the company and the company crumbles down because they miss him so much. That is not a leader. That is just a big ego whatever, motherfucker, finding himself very important. What is a leader? And I would love to talk more about this. What is a leader? A leader is somebody who empowers others to do it themselves. So if a true leader leaves a company, everybody that is in the company is like, oh no, but we did it ourselves. We don't need him. Then you know you had a true leader.
That's it. A
The
true leader will
difference,
develop leaders.
yes, and that's the difference between 20th century thinking and 21st century thinking, and this big shift the world is in. But I think that this is like a little intro for maybe another video that we're going to do.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Because it's interesting.
It is, and we can really go in depth in it.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is, if you know the expression, it's lonely at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, all of you listening out there who are leaders in their own right, if you ever felt that it's lonely at the top, then you're not a leader. A leader is not the person who climbs the mountain and says, hey guys, follow me if you can, I'm over here. A leader is the one. Like, it's the one that goes back for his people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the one who cares for the last person in that row. There's a great, amazing movie. It's called The Dawn Wall. Now, The Dawn Wall, I'm going to recommend everybody watch this. It has a lot to do with breathing because it's about climbing. And as a climber, as a former climber, I can tell you, for me, it was movement, inhale, grab, exhale. Movement, inhale, grab, exhale. It is a meditation. And I'm doing this meditation every single time I climb. And I know right now, Elena just went into the video, and I know that you took an introduction to climbing yesterday. It is a beautiful world, Elena. You should pursue this. Now, here's the thing. The movie is called The Dawn Wall. The Dawn Wall is a beautiful wall in Yosemite Park on El Capitan. I've had the privilege to climb a little bit of the dome and a little bit of El Capitan at some point, but I had never done the long routes because they're impressive. Now, what happened is this. This movie, the Dawn Wall, is the little part, just a little part of El Capitan, where the light of the sun hits first thing in the morning, and you just see this wall. And it's beautiful, and it's bright, and it's like another sun. Now, in this movie, Tim, I'm telling you, you need to watch it.
Yeah, I will.
A guy called Kevin and another guy called Tom, they try to climb the wall, a new route, a first ascent that nobody has ever done, and they want to free climb it. And one of them gets stuck in one part where they have to traverse. It's a very hard traverse, and he's trying to go there and trying to go there and trying to go, and he didn't. Tom managed to go through to the other side, and then he started climbing up. It was his vision to get to the top of El Cap that way. But when he looked at his partner, trying and not being able to do it, his thought was, I cannot think of a worse outcome, a sadder outcome, than getting up there by myself. So he went back down. They stayed almost 20 days, or I think a little over 20 days in that wall, sleeping in tents, hanging, suspended from the wall. And he came back down to help Kevin. And he gave it all. So he let them rest for a couple of days, and he helped them. And they got to the top of El Cap together.
Yeah, man.
And they created that first ascent of the Dawn Wall together.
Amazing.
Now, that is leadership.
Yes, that's leadership. Paving the way, inviting people to come and make sure everybody's there. Yeah.
Exactly. And the three questions.
So you need...
Do you care?
Go ahead, yeah.
So the three questions. Do you care for me? Can I trust you? And can you help me? Those three questions, we have to ask them from every single leader. Now, those questions are not mine. They're John C. Maxwell. Love him.
So
The best leadership coach in the world.
what pops up in my mind is that what is like the utmost important feature of a leader? It's not brains, it's not persistence, it's empathy.
Yes,
You know, because by empathy you can connect, you can get people together basically.
it is empathy.
Yeah, interesting. So there's one more thing I would, because we're getting to the end, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're way past the end, but it doesn't
So
matter.
I have I will send you a link of the video Science and Physiology of the Wim Hof Method. If people found it interesting, they can watch that video. So you can put it in the comments, or maybe I couldn't do it myself actually, but so that's something I want to share. And yeah, maybe a little advertisement, because well, next weekend I'm in Finland, but it's completely sold out in Helsinki. And the weekend after I'm in Brazil, Sao Paulo, and
Whoa.
yeah, but no, it is, you know, it's difficult to get to people there. So I didn't book my ticket yet, and I will only book my ticket if we sold enough tickets, and we're not there yet. So if you know people in Sao Paulo, Brazil, or people that are interested in the Wim Hof method and in Brazil, please connect them with me, because, you know, like I was there already, and we will go back, but we weren't very active in organizing stuff, and you know how it goes, so we didn't sell enough tickets yet. And then the week after, which is end of March, I'm in Barcelona for a series of
Yay.
events. Thursday evening, Friday evening, my own technique, which is body zen. Saturday, the Wim Hof method, and Sunday, power of breathing, a breathing course where I connect the dots from Buteyko to transformational with pranayama and also Wim Hof method in the middle, you know, like a beautiful bell-shaped curve, basically.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that was my
So
1 minute advertisement.
So please do go to the events. They're gonna transform you. They really are.
Yeah.
This is an amazing opportunity for anybody who is going to be in any of these places. I am sorry for the guys in Finland and girls in Finland. I know that Finland is full of biohackers. It's an amazing place for biohacking, but I'm sorry for those who are not going to be able to make it. We'll be there at another time, I suppose.
Yeah.
And Kevin, I'd like to thank you very much for your questions. Everybody, I'd like to thank you for all your questions. Kevin, yes, you're totally right. Empathy is a really high vibrational frequency. And if you
Yeah,
want
I
to
believe
talk
that.
about that further, send us some private messages. There's a lot of stuff that we can discuss.
Yeah, or actually send them in the comments. So if we answer it, then other people can see it too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so my little piece of advertising is my revolutionary call, and just basically simply to say, I'm really happy to have you here. I'm really happy to have our conversations. We'll arrange another one as soon as possible, hopefully next week.
Yeah.
If we can. And this is it. You know, if anybody is interested in attending any of the events that Tim has, please just either leave a comment here, send us a private message, however you want to do it. It's great. We will answer. And if anybody is interested in anything that has to do with emotional intelligence, please contact me directly. You can just send me a private message and whether it's leadership or emotional intelligence, we can deal with it. And we work as a team. So this is awesome.
This
Tim,
is awesome. Thanks.
thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so
next
much.
time we're going to do a 3 hour talk. No,
I think
1
you and
hour
I,
is enough. 1 hour
I
is
think
enough.
you and I are going to have a speech somewhere. We need to book something. So if anybody would like to see Tim and myself going at it on a stage or something, let us know. And if there's enough of you, we'll make it happen. Okay?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. I think it'd be amazing. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you could do a leadership workshop with breathing and everything.
Yeah.
That would be great. Oh, look, Alex just got in. Do you want to do a quick 5 minutes with Alex if we can?
Yes. Please
Okay,
connect.
let's see if we can.
Let me send
Let's
you
see
this
if we
video.
can add him. Alex, if you can request to join, that would be great. And then if there's an option. Yeah, I no. I think we can't. Oh no. Yeah, I think we can't. Yeah, it's not letting me. Oh,
Um,
perfect. I got it.
I just sent you a that video, or I could. I'm sorry. Okay, I sent it to you. The video of the science and physiology of the Wim Hof method. Yeah. So if people want to know more about that science, then
That's
they go
fantastic.
watch that video.
Let me just get to that right now. I will copy. I will put that in the comments right this second.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody. Here's a comment. There it is. Okay. So once again, thank you so very much. Oh wait, hold on. I think we can. There we go. Here's Alex. No, no, Alex. It says it's
Next
not
time.
possible to let you in. Next time we can do it. We'll probably have to do it through Zoom or something like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so sorry, Alex. I know you really wanted to talk to
Or
Tim.
you kick me out and you put him in, but
We
then we
can't do
cannot
that either.
talk. Can you kick
Yeah,
yourself out?
exactly.
No, that's not no.
Thank you.
Well, so
um,
we find another way.
We'll find another way. Don't worry about it. It's a technical thing that we will catch up onto, somehow.
You're
Um,
saying we are further than current technology. That's what you're saying.
yes, we are. So yeah, pat on our shoulder here. I'm sure that Alex could fix that one up. Okay, so I wanted to say is really, I am very serious. If you guys want to see us live, it would be great because Tim's going to be in Spain shortly. It's not the only time he's going to be in Spain, and I'm sure we can make it happen. Just let us know. Let us know here on the video, and it will be fantastic. I mean, really, especially if anybody wants to really go deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, leadership through emotional intelligence and breathing. How awesome would that be?
How awesome! How
Yeah.
awesome! Let's just do it. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
if this feels very good, and well, I'm not expecting it because that would change the whole vibe, but it feels very good. So I
It
hope this
does.
is
It
going to
does.
happen. Yeah. And
Okay,
okay,
everybody, it's my bedtime. I must
mine
depart.
too.
So thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for listening. Thank you, everybody in LA, in Radio Latino Inc., for being here with us and for helping us make this possible and distributing it around the world. And really, we're very, very happy to be doing this for everybody. And hi to everybody all over the globe. I know there's people from Belgium watching, people from Russia, there's people from the UK, there's people in LA, there's people in Mexico. So thank you so much, everybody from everywhere. It's a pleasure to have you all be part of this awesome experience. And thank you so much, Tim.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Really cool, dude.
Take care of yourself, my friend.
Yes, I will.
And we'll arrange for next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe this time next week, if it'll be all right.
Yeah.
We need to check your schedule and mine.
Well, maybe I'm in
We're
a
all
plane,
traveling.
but Wednesday would be better, probably. Yeah.
Okay, let's go for Wednesday then.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody,
Bye
and have a
bye.
wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Yes.
Tim.
Bye. Fox.
We're
See
out.
you, man. Bye bye.
Bye.